call the Resource Conservation Committee, May 10th, 2022 to order. At 6:34. Item 2 on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Draft copies of the minutes were sent out. I'm not sure if everybody saw them, but they're on our website, the city's website, for April 26, 2022. And I'd like to make a motion to approve those minutes.
I second.
Discussion.
I have one suggestion on let's see, on E, the BYOB event. I'd like to change the, it said the first line says the RCC has led BYOB. I'd like to change the led to held, HELD.
Okay.
Any more discussion? If not, let's take a vote to approve the draft meeting minutes for April 26, 2022. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? No opposed, so approved. Item 3, public appearance, non-agenda items. I assume there's no one there, Scott?
No, sir, there's not.
Okay, looks empty. Okay, item 4 on the agenda items. I just realized I was reading the Finance Committee agenda.
Oh, no.
I printed out the wrong one, but fortunately they have the same format. I go, wait a second. I had to make a correction on those meeting minutes. The meeting minutes are for March 30th, 2022.
Correct.
So I don't know how we correct that. And also, since that wasn't on there, Will, do you want to be the timekeeper?
Yes,
Okay,
you can do that.
I apologize for that. I don't know why I printed out the Finance Committee minutes agenda. First time ever done
Have it on
that.
your computer.
Yeah, I have the draft. I have the online version up here now. Okay, moving on to agenda item, new business. 4A is to elect a vice chairman. There are probably potentially, like last month, there are times when I may not be available to lead the meeting. And so I think we should have someone that would be available to fill in for me. Last time we had to make some changes to the dates, and that seemed like created some issues. And so we need to probably stick to our dates that we have in the calendar. And therefore, I think we need to have a vice chairman to take over when I'm not available. So is there a motion out there to appoint someone or nominate someone to be vice chairman, or someone want to volunteer? Or do we have to nominate someone?
It could be a nomination and then somebody would make a motion.
Okay.
Well, I think, it doesn't sound like there's, I mean, it's just really filling in and running a meeting, in which case, in those situations that pop up, I would be willing to do that if the committee or the commission would want me to serve in that role as the past year.
I nominate Chris.
I second the nomination. Do we have a discussion?
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
Agreed.
All in favor?
Some of you haven't served when Chris has been chair, but he does a nice job running the meetings. And I'm sure that he would do a great job subbing when Ron is not available.
Okay, all in favor, nominate for Chris to be vice chairman. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Congratulations, Chris.
Thank you,
All right.
Chris.
Yeah, thank you for stepping in.
No problem.
Okay, next on the agenda items 4B, discuss topics for July Sustainability RCC meeting. That's you, Phil.
Yep. So talked with Ron about this. Last year we had July as our stormwater meeting and September was the sustainability focused meeting. However, because we have, sorry, I got some backlight here. I'll try to fix that. We have only just made a hiring to take the role of environmental engineer, which Claudia Guy had previously held. I think that's just a little bit too short notice to ask that new staffer to lead a stormwater focused meeting on their own. We'll have to see what happens with this September if they feel up to the task by then. But I at least suggested to Ron we could make this July the sustainability focused meeting and swap the two for this year, see how that goes. So July is in 2 months. I should pull up, I don't have it up right now, but I can certainly pull up what we discussed last year for the sustainability meeting. But yeah, just kind of interested in hearing what any of y'all might be interested in hearing about. My plan is to have a sustainability plan RFP put together and released by that point. And so, you know, that would be an opportunity to talk about that. And there is the possibility that I could hold off if the RFP is ready to release, I could hold off on putting that out there until the RCC's had a chance to discuss it. You know, that would be one possibility, or, you know, the alternative would be, you know, as soon as it's ready, really prioritize getting it out there to start getting responses as soon as possible. I don't know if you all would have a preference on that.
Do we have a meeting in June? I think we do.
We do. Yeah, we do.
If you have the RFP ready, it would be nice if you could circulate it as soon as it's ready and not wait for July.
Right. Yeah. If it's ready by the June meeting, then we would talk about it then probably.
The other thing is I'd like to thank you for stepping up to do this, Phil, because I just recently learned that your department is pretty depleted. And so you're probably wearing many hats right now. And maybe we just shift both the sustainability and the stormwater discussions later in the year. Would that be, I mean, are you going to be able to do this in July?
Yes.
Really?
It may not be as robust as I'd like, but okay. Yeah. So a couple of the things that have occupied my time the most because we've been short-staffed will have either already have eased up or will within the next month, 4 to 6 weeks. So we have in the planning department, we have now backfilled the associate planner position that Lisa McNabola had. So we've got a new planner named Zach who's in that role. Wade Thompson is going to be stepping away as the community development planner in May, later this month. But I'm hoping it won't be too long before we have a replacement there. I believe we've announced the hiring of a couple of new individuals in public works. So again, as the year goes along, that strain is going to ease up. A lot of the strain in, you know, December, January, even into February was dealing with grant applications that I think previously I probably would have gotten some assistance from Claudia on, and she just wasn't available, being out on leave. And then Dakota Dorn is currently on parental leave, so there's a little shuffling around with that as well. But I think that's not the whole year. That'll be just a couple months. I'll say my motive for trying to do sustainability in July rather than looking to push that to later in the year is that I will also be on parental leave starting sometime in August. And so my availability over the few months after that, I haven't worked out a final plan yet with HR, but I will be out for a bit. And so as soon as I take leave, the next meeting will be September. So that's a perfect time for me to not be involved in that RCC meeting.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm wondering if there's something in the water at City Hall.
I couldn't answer that for anyone. I think it's just there was a lot of A lot of staff turnover over a several year period. And I think we got a lot of young staffers in the city right now.
So Phil, when does the Claudia replacement come on board?
My understanding is that that's going to be later this month. Yep, that's part of, I think Bill may not be joining tonight, but he did send over his updates. And he said we've got a full-time environmental engineer, Ben Schulte, starting May 24th. Part-time, Ryan Stengen will begin May 16th. Engineering tech, so Dakota, there's a new GIS coordinator position that was created, and Dakota was hired into that role. So his previous position, the engineering tech, we have announced a hire for that. That'll be May 31st. And then we're going to have, it looks like, an environmental intern who starts May 31st as well.
Wow.
So Ben,
it's a busy month.
Is Ben the replacement for Claudia?
Yes, yeah, Ben will be the new environmental engineer, and so I'll have to talk with Bill starting this week or next about what it's going to look like for him to start picking up the RCC.
Do you have his resume that we could look at, or could you share?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I'll check with Bill and see if that's available.
Okay.
Back to your question, Phil. I'm wondering, by July, will we have a better idea of the infrastructure funds, how the city is going to be spending those, or what sustainability projects will be able to move forward with those?
So my understanding on that is that general buckets for funding have been approved through ARPA and the infrastructure law. The buckets, so anything that we want to spend from that towards the kind of broader priorities that were in the mayor's plan that council voted on, I believe those projects would still have to then be put into a CIP or into a budget and voted on by council. So I don't think there's a set amount. Again, I'd have to look into this and see if I'm wrong about that. I don't believe there's a set amount for any particular project. So I assume you were thinking about supplemental funding for the sustainability plan.
Well, actually that, and I think there's some lighting things in there, and I think there were actually, well, stormwater, but that's not your domain. But I think there were several sustainability. Yeah,
there was a bucket of, I think, $300,000 or $400,000 for sustainability in that plan that was voted on and approved. But yeah, I don't believe it's been earmarked for anything in particular yet. What I can say on the street lighting, at least, unfortunately, I found out the Office of Energy Innovation grant that I applied for in January, we did not receive that. They've announced their winning projects there. But Andrew McFadden applied for another grant, again, from the bipartisan infrastructure law. He applied for a grant to help push ahead some of those streetlight LED replacements. So hopefully that one will be successful this time.
We also have the inside lighting at City Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does that mean that you're going to have to put forth a CIP proposal in the next CIP budget in order to get that done?
I believe that would be the case, yeah. So I've got to talk to Kevin Richmond about that with our maintenance of facilities and see if he thinks he'll have the bandwidth next year or how much bandwidth he'll have and what we should try to put into our budget.
Okay.
Hey, Phil, on the RFP for the sustainability plan consultant, who would be on the selection committee to review the RFPs, the proposals that come in?
Haven't discussed it. My assumption would be the city administrator would be involved in that decision. I would imagine somebody from Public Works, whether it would be Bill as the Public Works director or the new environmental engineer, or even Tracy Foss, who does a lot with the water utility. Yeah, I'm not positive. Yeah, I would just be guessing. I can throw out some names there, but I'm not sure
I'm
yet.
just
who'd be on
wondering
the
if
budget
anybody from
committee.
this committee should be as one of the reviewers.
Hmm. Uh,
Because Claudia had me review some RFPs that came in for some stormwater projects, so.
I would think that would make sense. It certainly would be something that I'd want to be able to consider. I don't foresee that being an issue, but yeah, I would look into that.
Okay. I mean, if there's anyone interested
Question for,
what's that, Chris? Go ahead.
I just have a question for Phil. So just kind of thinking this July sustainability meeting, or any area within sustainability that it would be helpful for us to have a brainstorming conversation or discussion on a sustainability topic that would be beneficial to you, Phil? You don't have to answer that right away, but maybe that's.
I think that would be something good to think about. One, we certainly could revisit. We talked briefly last year about the Green Tier Legacy Community Score Sheet that's undergoing changes. They actually finally finished it. Our work group has finished all the revisions and it's ready for beta testing. Is going to start this summer. They've got about 12 communities signed up that are going to go through beta testing that new score sheet. I told them I could be available if needed, but because the year's kind of busy, I was kind of hoping I wouldn't be. So still up in the air whether I'm going to be one of the beta testers or not. But certainly now that I know it's finalized and going out into beta, that's one that I can bring back again in July and we can talk through that. The hesitation I was having there was one thing that I have really wanted to revisit is our sustainability statement, kind of our sustainability ideals that we put at the start of every GTLC, Green Tier Legacy Communities report. It goes back to at least 2009. I'm not actually certain who crafted that kind of sustainability mission statement. I would like to revisit it and make sure that still makes sense. I'd imagine that would be part of the sustainability plan, but I think it probably couldn't hurt to also discuss that with the RCC and kind of get your feedback on that.
If I remember correctly, I think Rick Eilertson said that the intern at the time came up with that statement. So I think it's a good idea to revisit that.
Okay.
So just to go back to the original thought, is everybody okay with the switch then?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I'm speaking just for me.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
I think we can maybe, take some of this discussion and try to finalize what we talk about. I mean, I think that's a great idea, Phil, in terms of something that we could talk about, but maybe now that we've kind of been introduced back to this sustainability meeting and thinking about, what we could talk about, maybe others could come up with some ideas between meetings and we could finalize what we're talking about at the June meeting.
Yep. Yeah.
Originally when we did these meetings, we said that like the stormwater discussion that Claudia led, then Phil didn't need to be there and vice versa. But considering we have a new engineer on board, I think that it would be helpful if they both joined us for the July meeting.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
I'll certainly recommend it.
Good.
So when will Ben officially be coming on board?
Ben is officially coming on board May 24th.
Okay.
And we'll have a part-time Ryan starting May 16th. Again, I haven't talked to Bill. I mean, he's just been so overloaded with this is 2.5 positions that are starting this month plus an intern.
Yeah.
And there's been people out and backfilling. Bill has just been overloaded. So we kind of had this grand idea that he and I were going to split the RCC duties when Claudia went on leave, and he just hasn't been able to take any of it. So we haven't really talked yet about what that retransition back to having Public Works more involved is going to look like.
Okay. So would our June meeting be too soon to have an introduction? Just Ben introduce
No,
himself to us?
no, that's my goal is to already have that take place in June. But again, I'll have to talk to Bill this week or next.
Okay, yeah, it would be good for him just to sit in and see how the meetings go.
Yep, and I don't know if he's already put together an onboarding packet for Ben. We would need to know, after Ben starts, he's only got 2 weeks before, I think that's right. Yeah, he's only got about 3 weeks until that June RCC meeting. So we just have to make sure that it's available on his schedule.
Okay, great. All right, anything else, Phil, or anybody else on that agenda item? If
Do
not,
you have enough from us? Have you gotten enough feedback? Because I don't feel like we've been very helpful.
I think for now, well, I'll put a little bit more time into thinking through things myself. I think that's enough for right now, and at June we can finalize.
okay.
We'll also have had the committee of the whole by then, and maybe there's some spin-off items to talk about on sustainability coming out of that discussion.
Yeah.
Yep, and it's possible, again, with new staff coming in, like everyone always brings in their own expertise, and we have a new city administrator as of last year. There has been a lot of I would say I'm not probably working this role in the same way that Ellen did 3 years ago, let alone Erica before her. So with Wade stepping down as the community development director, he has really taken the lead entirely on the Healthy Neighborhoods initiative. I haven't been involved in that at all, and I suspect that Ellen was a little bit. With a new community development planner coming in, it's possible that I may shift back into doing a little bit more of that. So where my focus is going to be is, I don't know if it'll be exactly the same 6 months from now, or if that will have shifted a little bit. So that may be something that we discuss in July. I'll just have to see where the chips fall.
One comment on our next meeting, since we just talked about it, the minutes say, or the agenda says that it's on Monday, June 12th, but Monday is actually June 13th.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't do math right. So yeah, I'll adjust that to the 13th. Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, let's move on to the next agenda item. Hang on a second here. We click on the next agenda item is a discussion of 4C, promoting water conservation efforts prior to summer months. This was on our calendar, and I'm not sure who wanted to have this discussion regarding this. So I just had Phil put my name down there, and I throw it out there to find out who wants to discuss this or has information about this topic.
Yeah.
Was this possibly a holdover from a previous calendar?
Yeah, I think it might have been, and it may be just, I have to look back. I don't remember our goals off the top of our, like if water conservation was one of the goals that we wanted to talk about. It's certainly an area where we, have a lot of energy usage within the city, and, running the water unnecessarily, if people are watering their lawns. And I think, just a little bit of, history for those, just kind of, we had a really dry summer, and, there was a lot of water usage back in 2012. And then we had a pretty wet stretch of summers, I would say, from 2013 through 2019 anyways. 2020 started to dry out a little bit. The last couple of years I've seen, a lot of people, with their sprinklers on, watering their lawns. And, just some of the times that I see things, running, it's just like, it would be helpful to have some educational material out there. I see people running them sometimes in the middle of the afternoon where it's, most likely to evaporate. Some people do in the evenings. A really good time to water is actually in the mornings. If you're going to water at all, but then also just kind of, the consideration of, letting your grass, go dormant during those periods. And the use of, rain barrels. So another item. I just feel like we haven't really had too much outreach on this the past several years, and it might be, it may be is just something that we cover with an article this summer if we don't have a commitment.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If we could have it, has an article been done on this in the Fitchburg Star?
Not for a while, I don't think.
Yeah, I was trying to find that schedule that Phil put together and I can't find it, but I don't think we've had anything in the last 2 years. We have written several articles about water conservation, but I don't think any recently.
Can we get updates on the aquifer or anything like that, where we could be kind of having that conversation about replenishment and kind of sustainability from just even like a groundwater perspective?
That's a good idea. I mean, I don't think we've ever gotten into that level of depth with our water conservation discussion. It's been more so kind of the typical items that we talk about. So Josh, I do think that is a good idea to talk about those types of things, enriching our aquifers. And
I think I also ask from like a quality perspective. I think all the PFAS conversations that are going on right now, and just, I feel like a committee like this helping monitor that, what type of testing is going on in the wells, what type of information do we have access to, and then, further informing the public on kind of all of those elements of groundwater, including conservation and just awareness would be, a good mission, I feel like, for this group.
So we get our water from the city of Madison?
No,
No?
No, we have our own wells. I mean, the aquifer is basically shared. And so I would imagine that.
But we don't have a treatment plant, right? Or do we?
we actually, they're, I think annually included with your water bill is an update on the testing results, or maybe that's not, it's too bad Bill isn't available because I'm sure he could tell us, but maybe it's done every other year. But there usually is an insert that tells you about the, the chlorides in the water, but we don't get it from Madison. We have our own utility.
And the treatment happens at the pumping stations, as I understand it. I think there's individual pumping stations have installations for adding chlorine and fluorine and the other steps. So I think it's kind of an on-site thing.
Okay, so it doesn't go to one treatment plant and goes into the distribution system.
Not as far as I understand it, because a lot of those pumping stations, many of them are tied to a dedicated like water tower due to the pressure needs or the topography, and so it is patchwork, and it's one of those things where communities somewhat to our southwest are starting to see like nitrate infiltration from the farms. So I think there's a number of topics that I've been tracking. I've got a kidney disease that makes me drink a lot of water and have advanced filtration at my house just because I fully assume that we have low level of just about all those things running in our aquifer already. And I think it's just one of those things where when we talk about, runoff and stormwater management, as well as just a lot of the policies that I think could affect this committee or this committee could weigh in on, there's a huge contribution to kind of the water table. And sorry, Chris, this is a bit of an aside on that, but I've been meaning to ask this committee about kind of where we integrate with that and how we could forward that conversation. So I just kind of saw it as my opportunity.
Well, this is enlightening to me because I had no idea. I thought we were getting our water from the city of Madison through the wells, and we were beginning billed for it. So
yeah,
I've never seen a treatment facility here, like a typical water treatment plant.
And Madison is, as far as I understand it, largely the same. Individual pumping stations, on-site treatment. That's, you could follow I forget if it's well 13, the one near the airport out there, and the fact that they were able to shut that one down because obviously that was the highest testing results.
Yeah.
And now they're looking at how to mitigate at that one specific well. but it's becoming a broader conversation too, right? And so I think it's one of those things where, as a committee, from a health perspective too, it'd behoove us to monitor that stuff and to be aware of kind of the trends that we're seeing in the Fitchburg area.
Would it be useful to, I'm not sure if this would be somebody like Tracy Foss or someone else with the county to try and secure a speaker to come talk to the RCC at some point over the next several months.
I think that would be great. I think it might be Tracy, but I think that would be great.
Yeah, this could even be a topic for the September stormwater meeting, although then I'd miss it. I guess I'd have to go catch up on YouTube. Yeah, my understanding is Josh is right that the wells individually treat and distribute the water. I did find just with a quick Google search, a UW extension slide presentation on Dane County's groundwater, where it comes from, where it goes. But yeah, this would probably be a good thing to make sure that everyone at RCC is up to speed on.
Yeah, because I have no idea what if we talk about conservation, what our usage is over the years. You know, how's it fluctuated? You know, we haven't seen any graphs or anything.
Your personal usage or the city's usage?
No, I mean the city's usage as a whole, the community.
And I think that would be something that would be good to understand and see if it's something that we could easily and should monitor. Certainly putting an article in the Star could precede that. You know, if we want to talk about general water conservation, the principles are similar, but you know, maybe the urgency changes.
I mean, we see a lot of stuff on energy, but you know, nothing on water.
I think it would be difficult, even if that information was available, to draw any conclusions from it based on how Fitchburg has grown, and it depends on whether, you know, whether we've grown with businesses that use like Herbie, I can't remember what they're called, whatever they're called now. They use a lot of water. Some businesses do. Some, I'm not sure that we can get the breakdown by usage by residents.
But how's that different than electricity? You know, Fitchburg is growing, so there's more electrical demand or natural gas demand. So to me, it's just another type of commodity out there that we can see how it fluctuates with, you know, change in populations or climate changes, things like that. So, like, I haven't seen any water data, but I've seen a lot of energy usage data from the city, but nothing on water.
It's a good question. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation recently about, you know, what types of permits were approved for agricultural use, right? That's another huge pull, and we have a decent amount of agricultural land in Fitchburg, and so maybe that speaker would be able to tell us, you know, what is publicly available in terms of just knowledge or tracking. You know, another one that comes to mind is when nitrates go up in there, that's, you know, manure spreading practices and field retention and things of that nature that, you know, this committee could weigh in on or advise the city on. You know, how do we keep runoff and things like that from getting into the water table, from getting into the rivers and streams. It's similar to the algae conversation, which I know has come up a couple of times here, but it ends up affecting the groundwater in kind of different but similar ways. So there's a number, you know, you could look at all swaths of Fitchburg and we're still a pretty diverse map, but there's a lot of development going on. And, you know, it influences water in a bunch of different ways. So I think it'd be really interesting to better understand trends we're seeing, including in, you know, wells on the far south side of the city and what that's doing from a, you know, what that municipal water looks like compared to wells on the north end.
Yeah, I think it's all a good discussion. You know, I know that we had a while back, I don't know, it was probably at least 7 or 8 years ago, we had somebody from, I want to say the Wisconsin Geological Society, Ken Bremberry or somebody like that came in and he spoke at a community event about water quality and kind of what they were seeing. I don't know if it was part of an event or if we had an event focused on it, but we did do something, I believe at the library where we had a good presentation and, you know, the public was able to come in and you know, ask questions about water quality. I think that, you know, seeing that there's an open article slot in June, you know, there's an opportunity that we could potentially write something on water conservation, focus on that going into the summer months, just kind of best practices with water conservation as kind of a first priority, but then, you know, have this discussion with our, you know, somebody internally about water quality and where it's at. but then consider working towards an event, potentially in like the November timeframe, where we focus more on water quality, and you could do an article kind of, leading into that event, Josh. I think that would be, give us some time to kind of get our, get a grasp around water quality and kind of plan for an event. We have some other events that are coming up this summer and into the fall already. So, but something late fall like that would be, a great one to, maybe we could combine that with energy conservation in November or something like that, and just have a couple different speakers come out and have an event, on those topics. But that's what I'm kind of thinking is, let's jump into water quality a little bit, but let's maybe focus on water conservation now.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I think it would be helpful to get from Tracy or whoever to get some usage information. And I think because the meters are done, like residential meters are billed out differently than agricultural, we should be able to get it by segment. But I just want to back up a little bit because I don't think we really appointed a timekeeper for this.
Yeah, Will was.
Will, did we give you any instructions? Because you
no, that was my job. I was about to bring the hammer down. I was watching.
Yeah, don't hesitate, because I can see we're already past time.
Yeah. Okay, this was a good discussion. Even I learned a lot, so hopefully we'll have some more information to share later on about our drinking water and usage and things like that. Okay, any more discussion? If not, we can move on to the next item, which is item 4D, discuss dark sky ordinance.
All right, I guess who's writing the one for Chris? Was that you offering to write the water conservation article for June, or are we still looking for an author on that?
Well, I think we can hold that discussion when we get to the Fitchburg article discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'll plant the seed for that, I guess. We'll talk about that later.
I don't know, Phil, are you still on?
I am indeed.
Okay. I think last time we spoke, you were talking about you were working on developing something for the dark sky ordinance.
Yeah, I did a little bit of preliminary research. Sorry, I'll turn the video back on. I'm going back and forth between this and dinner. I spoke with Chad about a dark sky ordinance. It's something that he is open to. We think we could probably put something together that council would support. The closest example that we have of a dark sky ordinance is the town of Verona, not the city, but the town of Verona. And I spoke to the building inspector for the town of Verona, who is charged with enforcing their dark sky ordinance. The reason I wanted to talk with him is that their dark sky ordinance is not just it doesn't just cover the municipality, it covers the whole town, so residences, businesses, and it's not just for any new development. It is essentially says you can no longer have lighting that's not dark sky compliant. This is it's a very different beast in a town with a much smaller population than it is in a city like Fitchburg with a population of 30,000, quite a few businesses. I suspect it might be a little bit of a headache to task building inspection with enforcing a kind of retroactive replace all lights with dark sky compliant ones. Just all this to say that, that's the thing that would need to be considered is if we're going to put an ordinance together, how do we craft it in terms of who does it apply to, over what time scale do we want to see it implemented, and does it apply to retrofits or just any time you are putting in a new fixture or replacing a bulb in an existing one? That's when you now have to be in compliance. So that was kind of as far as my research has gotten so far, is speaking with Chad and looking into and talking about the Verona one. I think it's certainly something that we could craft an ordinance that would get council support, but things like that would be a question that we'd have to kind of think about and have a plan that both satisfies the goal of this, which is to increase dark sky compliant lighting throughout Fitchburg, while also not doing it in a way that really creates a lot of conflict with the community or something that's just not feasible for the city to enforce and oversee.
Just a comment that Madison has a, let's see, they don't call it a dark sky one, but they have an ordinance that applies to all outdoor lighting installed on residential property. I don't know what they do with businesses.
Yeah, I think Shorewood Hills has one too as well.
Yeah, so there's a.
So one of my thoughts is maybe, is there a way that we could look at this applying to, just the government buildings and facilities like that first? And I mean, Diane, you brought up a suggestion when we're putting together the committee as a whole presentation that not using the term dark sky, but maybe have something like reduced light pollution or something that's different.
Well, I suggested not using dark sky ordinance, rather, because we haven't really laid the groundwork. Let's call it reducing light pollution and work.
I like that, yeah.
And work toward the dark sky, but let's ease them into the idea of.
Yeah.
So well, I guess we'll find out at the committee of the whole how receptive
it goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess one question. When you spoke with was it Chad at Verona?
Mm-hmm.
Did he say, what's that?
With Verona, it's actually John Crook.
John. Okay.
Yeah.
Did he say was it difficult to get it passed, or was there any issues that came up, or?
No, it wasn't particularly difficult to get it passed there. He said there haven't been any issues with it. It's also, like so many other things, enforcement of this is often based on complaints from neighbors. In Verona, you don't have very many neighbors, so he doesn't get a lot of calls on the ordinance. I don't know if that means that there's not perfect compliance, or if everyone was just fine following the ordinance, that everyone kind of stepped up and there weren't any issues.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just concerned since I think we have a lot more businesses here in the Fitchburg area community that there might be some issues from some of the folks, but maybe it's an education step that we need to take at the very beginning, like Diane mentioned. All right, any other discussion? If not, let's move on to item 5, agenda items, old business. 5A is the 2022 annual event, invasive species. So right now we're scheduled for June 2nd at McGaw Park at 5:30 p.m. on Thursday. I'm working with Matt Walrath from the Upper Sugar River Association, who will be coordinating with Anna Healy, our forester, and leading that walk at that park. So I'm putting together a flyer, which I hope to have together the next few days. So I'm not sure how we can advertise it. I want everyone to look at the flyer first, make sure it looks okay. And then I'm not sure of the process of getting that distributed or posted on the city's website to let people know. And also, Chris, I don't know how in the past when we had the tree diversity tour last year, how you were able to get some of those giveaways. So yeah, I'd like to maybe do a couple.
We can kind of take all those things. If you're just working on the flyer and you've got the speaker going, then we can kind of take over in terms of marketing the event, and then working on some potential giveaways. A couple of those things might go hand in hand. We might want to indicate that we have some giveaways on the flyer. So we might, what I would think is that we want to get at least our community outreach subcommittee together. And that would be Kim and Sharon and myself, with a maybe on Phil participating, but you know, Ron, you'd certainly be able to come to that and just talk a little bit about the event, but it's just really kind of an hour meeting. And we used to have these once a month, and we really haven't, you know, ever since COVID struck, we haven't really got these rolling again, but we're ready to get them rolling ahead of the end to market this event. You know, we did have some meetings while we were doing the tree diversity event. Those were all over Zoom, but yeah, we're ready to go on it. And I think you just kind of pass the torch. I mean, you've done all the legwork to get the event, and then we can kind of take it and get the event promotion going, work with you know, Phil, and he can kind of get it to the right people at the city, and then we can get it flyers posted around at different spots. We have a marketing plan for these events, so we'll just revisit that and work on getting the word out about the event. Like that's the thing. So it's posting on social media and different, you know, like Swan Creek would be a big one just because that's so close. You said it's at McGaw Park, right?
Yeah, McGaw Park.
Okay. Did you say June 2nd? Because I have May 19th.
What's that?
I have that it's on May 19th.
No, we moved it because people couldn't make the May 19th meeting.
Okay, and it's at 5:30?
5:30, yeah. I thought I sent an email out to everybody.
You know what, you might have, and I just didn't get it on my calendar.
Yeah.
Actually, Ron, after, I mean, you've gotten it organized, and as Chris said, then we usually turn it over to the community outreach, and they do all the marketing. Okay. Right?
So if I put together a flyer, is that okay, or do you guys do that?
Well, I mean, we could even help out with building the flyer if you, if kind of a, you know, a tough thing, you know, like we have past flyers and we can kind of make it look the same. And, you know, if you know, maybe you can provide a photo if you have a good photo of it that you want to provide, or else we can find something and you can just say, I like that, or I don't like it. So,
okay, I didn't know if there was a standardized template that you use for these type of events. So
we don't really have a template, but we have past examples that we could use. And
can you share those?
Starting at a better place than you starting from scratch, maybe on one of these.
Yeah, can you share those with me?
Sure.
Okay.
And then you could just kind of fill it in, but I can
share
share.
With you. Yeah, that would be great.
We have an RCC logo that we like to stick on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the tree diversity should have all the information on it that, you know, it'll talk a little bit about giveaways, where it's located at the time. You know, it's just updating that information, updating the photo, and then we can kind of get it out there.
Okay. Did you have like
similar to what we've had
at the tree diversity? Did you have like a raffle ticket? I can't remember. They were calling people's names to win something.
Yeah, I mean, I think we might have just written down people's names, you know, when they arrived at the event and put them into a bucket.
Okay.
It may have been as simple as that.
Yeah, I can't remember.
We kind of just wing it and figure that out. And, you know, but I think we do something at the beginning of those, you know, I think we normally have like a split raffle ticket, and we use those somehow, some way. We'll figure that out.
Okay.
I like to have some giveaways at it. I mean, normally that's a pretty good thing. The other thing to talk about is, do we want to have food at the event? So food and giveaways are kind of our, you know, incentives for people to come. In the past, we've had a relationship with, who was it, the pizza place? Ian's Pizza.
Ian's, right?
And they will actually provide pizza for free for the event, for sustainability events around Dane County. And so, but we can only tap into that once every 6 months. We haven't tapped into it for a couple of years. But in the past, we've been able to get like 2 or 3 really, really big pizzas that we'll bring to those events. And that can be, you know, especially at 5:30, that can be a little bit of a draw as well. So we could look into that and see if they're still open to providing pizza, if you think it'd be helpful in bringing people to the event.
Okay. Great. Well, that sounds great. Exciting. Okay. So I'll get something. If you send those exact templates to me, I'll get something right back to you very, very quickly in the next couple of days.
Okay,
June 2nd's not
sounds
that
good.
far
I'll work on
away.
that.
Yeah, June 2nd's not that far away.
No,
Yeah, I didn't, I guess I missed it too, that it was not, going to be May 19th. So I was a little worried that we're going to be with our marketing, but June 2nd gives a little more time.
Yeah.
The reason we like to have them like around the middle of the month is then we can use the star as a potential piece to help leverage and market the event.
Yeah, I've got that mentioned in my star article. So,
Okay. So your article that's going out this month.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
All right. Any other discussion? If not, let's move on to item 5B, the June Bring Your Own Bag event. Diane and Chris.
it's not really June. Based on our last meeting, we decided that we would do it later in August or September. We didn't really
Yeah.
pick a month.
It's my mistake for not changing the title.
It's all right.
Consider it adjusted.
It's not like you don't have anything else to do.
I'm surprised I didn't catch that
I
either.
don't know. Don't start making excuses for me, or I'm going to make them for myself.
All right, excuse removed.
Thank you.
Anyway, we talked about doing this later in the fall, Chris, but, like August or September,
Yeah.
depending on how the pandemic thing works out. I mean, it's flaring up right now, and we have a ways, but the discussion was, where do we want to do it? Who do we want to contact? We have some time, to discuss that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I was thinking about, Diane, is that actually I got something from my sister today, my niece. She actually, for the local supermarket, she won a contest where she created a design that they're putting on the grocery bags. So I don't know if there's something like that we could do, like we did with the street sweeper, where we could work with Hy-Vee or Pick and Save.
Well, I know that Metcalf's in April, they always have giveaway reusable bags with designs on that students at an area high school, I think,
In April?
have done in April around Earth Month. I can't remember. It's while supplies last, and I think it's only for 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the problem that we've run into, we did a Boys and Girls Club event where we bought cotton canvas bags for reuse and had them decorate them, and then they could take them home. But those end up being rather pricey. So anyway.
I mean, it's something to think about. I don't know if that's something the outreach committee could follow up on, or if we have relationships with Pick and Save and Hy-Vee. And
Well, we did have relationships. Then we had a strongest relationship at Hy-Vee. That manager is no longer there, so we'd have to kind of start over from scratch. But they're well received by, and some of the employees that are there now were part of those events. And so I think it's a matter of starting with those 2 grocery stores, seeing which one has interest. I don't think I have, we've done more events at Hy-Vee, so it'd be kind of nice to do a different grocery store. So I would say maybe we could start with the Pick and Save first, and then see if Hy-Vee would be interested second.
Or Target.
Target, yeah, it's another good one. Yeah. Isn't Pick and Save owned by Kroger?
Around
They are.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be plastic bag free by, I think it's next year. I can't remember. So our
What was that, Diane? You kind of cut out there.
they're supposed to be plastic bag free by, I thought it was next year, but I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but our event when we held it seemed to fit well with their recent announcement.
They announced, it looks like in 2018, that they would stop using them by 2025. I don't know if they've made any updates since then.
Yeah, so that's still 3 more years down the road.
Anyway, maybe Chris, you and I can just visit about where we want to try to do this next. Unless
Okay.
does
Yeah.
anybody have any connections at area grocery stores? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is 2025. Is that what you said, Phil?
Yeah, they've a couple of their individual chains, individual brands have done sooner bans, but company wide, everything that Kroger owns will be 2025.
Okay.
Okay. Any more discussion on this topic? If not, let's move down to item 5C, the RCC presentation to Committee of the Whole. As you know, this was rescheduled from Randy Udall had it rescheduled to June 29th. So I put together a presentation, which I've sent out to Phil and Chris and Diane to mark up and edit. And I think we're almost there and getting a finalized version. I think, Phil, you were going to share a copy tonight. So just give folks a general idea what it looks like and where we're at.
Yes. Yep.
So
So
the one in the packet is not the most updated version?
No, I had made
Okay.
I made a couple updates to a previous version Ron had sent out. There was just a little versioning issue there. I'll share my screen here.
you have the most latest one, right, Phil?
I've got the latest one here.
Okay. So
So let me know how.
can you go into mode? I guess we can walk through it.
Yeah.
It'd probably be better. So overall, Diane, Chris, in the past, who was given the presentation? Would it be me, the chairperson, or
Well,
is it a
sometimes
city person?
sometimes it's been a team effort depending on the topic. Like,
Okay.
you know, for example, you could talk about the dark sky or, well, light pollution, and somebody else could talk about the sustainability, or in some cases, it's just been the chair doing everything and members being available to pitch in as needed.
Okay.
So yeah,
Ron,
it's really up to you, Ron, what you wanna do. I think people are willing to help, but if you have a preference of, you know, giving the presentation and having commissioners there to support and answer questions, we can go that route. So you know, it's it's generally been strongest when we've been able to split it up and have kind of multiple members present on it, but we've gone kind of both ways.
Okay. Well, that would be my preference, to have a teamwork on it, and having you, Chris, and Diane present, as well as Phil, to cover a lot of the main topics in here. A lot of you have familiarity and experience in working with a lot of the issues that we'll be talking about in here.
Yeah, I just commented that Committee of the Whole is scheduled for June 22nd.
June 29th
Thanks, Chad.
at 7:30
So where did you hear June 29th?
from Randy Udall. Why is there something different?
Interesting. Yeah, so Chad pointed out it's the fourth Wednesday of the month typically, so that would be June 22nd.
Mhm.
Unless Randy knows that they changed it for some reason. But no, it should be June 22. There might have been a little confusion there.
Oh, let me see then. I'm sure it's June 29th.
I'll do a quick check on my calendar as well. I've got those in here. Committee of the Whole is scheduled for June 22nd in the council chambers.
Now I got an email from Randy. He says, please let me know if you can make the June 29th Committee of the Whole meeting.
Well, let's plan on both for right now and double check that with Randy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that at 6:30?
It would be at 7 o'clock.
Oh, I've got to look and see, because I might not be available now if it's June 22nd.
All right.
Well, anyway, let's I think that the chair should do at least the introduction, and then if you want to divide these, but maybe we should just settle for tonight on let's just discuss the slides and how comfortable people are with them. Does that sound
Yeah,
all right?
Yeah, can
Sounds
we show
good.
the multiple slide view instead of just one slide at a time?
Yeah, we can do that. And I also, let's do this one. And Ron, I believe I gave you control over the slides as well. So let me know if you should be able to advance those.
Okay.
If you
sorry.
if you can't, then I'll still control that here.
I don't think I have control. No.
Okay, well, I'll just tackle it.
Okay. So I don't mind doing the upfront, talking about, who RCC is, our goals, what we do, our responsibilities, and then introducing the commission members. So that's what these upfront slides would be. I think I have, hopefully I have everyone's title correct or their job description, what you do. If not, let me know. Oh yeah, so we'll have to add Ben on there.
Just so everybody knows, the commission responsibilities comes right off the website, so we don't want to change that.
Yeah. Okay, next group of slides. And we talk about, our projects that we have usually on an annual basis. And we have a list of projects here. If there's any other that we're missing or that we don't need to have on there, let us know. I think these are all the topics that we talked about in our previous meetings, particularly for things that we want to focus on and for 2022.
Yeah, we haven't done the multifamily recycling outreach in a few years. That was, it's something that we'd like to do, but I don't know that we can really mention it because we haven't worked on it the last.
Okay, so that's something that should come up then.
Yeah, it's something that I'd love to get back into.
Okay.
I don't know that we should talk about that right now.
Okay. So we have it says the annual forum event. Should it be just an annual event? Or is it, I'm not sure why the word forums there.
We used to call it the RCC annual forum. It doesn't necessarily have forum attached to it every year. I think that's just maybe, we could just say.
How about annual outreach event?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
That don't work.
I'm not sure which ones we did before COVID or before even I came on board. So the only one I was really involved was last year's tree diversity. And then I know the year before we had the COVID issue. So I don't know what we did in 2018 or 2019.
I think this is fine. I think this is fine that we just show the tree. I don't you? I don't think that we need to go into other events that we've done.
Okay.
Right.
Then we talk about the waterway, the annual waterway cleanup.
Nice pictures, Chris.
No, they're not all mine.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought
you
they
had
were.
a great turnout. You had a great turnout on yours.
Yeah, we've got it branded in Swan Creek. We've been fortunate the last several years.
Yeah. The picture on the right is my area. We only had 3.
That's all right. That's where I started.
Now, last year we had 12, but
Sometimes it just depends.
yeah.
Well, next year we need to do a better job of indicating where people are meeting and promoting differently. Because it's, the Zoom thing is nice, but I think we are losing a little bit of the collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then there's a slide talking about the cafeteria waste reduction program and recycling. So that's where I'd like to have you available, Chris, to talk about that.
Yeah, either myself or Kim can talk about that. So it's a topic that Kim has done a lot on too. So
Yeah.
If she's available and can come and wants to talk about that, she could talk about that, and I can help out more with the sustainability plan discussion that you have later on.
Okay. Is there an issue with having too many commission members there?
No,
No? Okay,
it's a noticed meeting, so we should be fine.
okay. I mean, what do you, on the, since Chris has some statistics in his, shall we have some for our waterway cleanup? How many bags were collected, things like that? Or is
Well,
it just
don't-
keep it generic?
Haven't we already given council our annual report? I guess Gabriella could answer that question because that has all that information in it.
Mhm.
The end of the year annual report. So if you want to add stats, I guess it would be, well, it would be hard to do it for this year because, for example, I did my cleanup 2 weeks ahead of time, and I think that would be difficult to quantify the number of bags that were collected.
Okay. Actually, I don't think we probably could do a better job keeping track of what we did collect. I know I did, other than count the number of bags, that was it. So I don't know if that's the stat we would use, but
I don't believe Public Works weighs the bags when they pick them up. So number of bags is the only thing that we'd be able to report on.
yeah. And actually we put our bags, since we didn't have that many, we actually put them in the city dumpster, city garbage can that was right there on the property. So instead of having
and we don't have Kim's input, and she usually collects a lot of litter. So
yeah.
I think we can just leave it like this.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Okay, next slide. Just talk about a little about the Swan Creek Monitoring Station program. I am working with the city on collecting samples for the station with the USGS. So I do have some presence there, and maybe just talk to them about the importance of the station. So there's what, 2 new alders we have, Diane? Is that right?
I don't know.
I think it's 2 new alders. Just to give them an update on why the city is working with the USGS and these other partners and having a station there. So
I would suggest changing the last bullet to determine if the corrective preventative stormwater measures are working, rather than leaving a question there, because it looks like you're asking the council that question, and that's not the case.
yeah, no, good point. Yeah, I think that was in your notes. And the next slide would talk about our focus for 2022, progress toward complete and sustainability plan for the city, reducing light pollution, the equitable tree plantings. I think something that's yours, Joshua, area. And then community outreach on various topics, and then the recycling program.
Did you get this from our calendar of events?
I think I did, but I also got it from something else. I can't remember what it was from.
I don't, that looks a little bit on the short side. And I don't like just saying recycling, because obviously that's one of the things that we're responsible for, but what about recycling? So maybe let's take a look at our calendar, and at the very top of the calendar, it talks about our focus. I think this should mirror that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, next slide. And then would have a slide, a discussion to talk about the importance of reducing light pollution within the city. I don't want to get too technical with it, just to give them an overview.
I think that's a great slide.
Yeah.
I do too. I love that graphic. That really explained it for me very succinct.
Yeah. So then after that, we would jump into the benefits of sustainability plan. And what is the next slide after this one? Because just to go back to your order, Diane, trying to think that somewhere it seems something is missing.
Yeah, that, I don't know, I didn't look back at my notes on this one, but maybe, when I saw this, I was thinking, why is this one next? But depending on who's introducing or talking about the sustainability plan, maybe it ties into, if you look at the last slide, we're talking about to provide a guidebook to meet our commitments. I think that's what the last slide said. And here are the commitments. I don't know if that's the thinking. I don't care if you take that out. See the first one, cohesive guidebook documenting Fitchburg's principles and goals. Let's see, provide a roadmap to meet Fitchburg's sustainability commitments. The second one, the next slide kind of summarizes Fitchburg's commitments, at least some of them. But if you don't want that in there, or you want that somewhere else, I think that could work too.
Is the year on there the year that we made the commitments?
Yes.
Do we have any like forward-looking pledges or any milestones that we want to also capture? Okay, I think last time Phil talked about like percentage of reduction that we committed to in terms of energy efficiency.
That could certainly be discussed here. It might muddy up the slide a little bit to detail all of the commitments in this resolution there.
Keep in mind that we only have 45 minutes, and that includes a discussion with the council. So we can't really dive into a lot of detail. Phil, I'm not sure, you give council a presentation once a year. How much have you already told them about this?
I don't actually give a regular presentation, but certainly anytime if I'm writing a support or a memo in support of a resolution, or to highlight to add some information on a resolution or an ordinance or anything like that, I will make reference to all of these things, as well as the specifics of the clean energy resolution. When I applied for the Office of Energy Innovation grant in January, a resolution was required to, council had to approve applying for that grant. And so with the resolution, again, comes some background information on why this is important to the city. It's certainly something that they have seen multiple times. I don't know that they could quote the numbers back at us.
You don't do this as part of the council orientation?
No.
You don't do any presentation as far as council orientation?
I don't, but now I have some questions.
Yeah, I think that would be huge.
I've never taken part in that.
Well, I think we need to talk to Gabriella about that, because this should be guiding a lot of Fitchburg's decisions, and if the council members aren't aware of it.
I also think that key milestones, and then if you want to put in parentheses which commitment is related to that, shows the imperative, right? Like I worry that these are, I couldn't quote for you the things that these are directing us to, right? But I think if we had specific milestones and timelines, that would show more like the importance and the needed quickness of the plan.
We're about 8 minutes behind schedule.
Okay.
Thanks, Will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of thinking the way Josh is thinking, that we need to redo the slide and think about, the actual numbers and things that we are committed to achieving by a certain time frame. When you look at these things, they don't mean that much. They mean much to us, but may not mean that much to other people out there. So what are we actually committed to at achieving?
Well, you could eliminate the logos. That would give you more space.
Yeah.
And then underneath each bullet, sort of a little brief description of what that means. What did we commit to with the climate protection agreement? What did we commit to with the 25 by 25 pledge? What did we commit to with the clean energy resolution? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And would that be something that you would know, Phil?
The specifics behind each of these?
Yeah, I mean.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Those I have spoken on many times.
Okay. So I don't know if you made any changes to say this to the sustainability plan slides, Phil, other than what I had there originally. So if we go on to the next slide,
Mm-hmm.
I think I got all your changes, Diane, in this one here.
Notice that I bolded and put in italics the requests behavior changes, and I did that specifically to drive home that we're not going to mandate, we're not anticipating mandating
Yes.
things.
Yeah, it's a good point. Okay, next slide.
Yep, and these are two slides we've talked about before. The one on the left is one they would recognize from 2 years ago, the last time RCC presented to Committee of the Whole. There are some new alders since then, but same information, that there are a lot of overlapping things. This relates to the previous slide here, where likely inclusions of this plan, the only thing that we know are existing gaps really are with water, energy, and waste. So those are ones that are kind of mandatory to include in a sustainability plan because we don't already have them covered. But there's a lot of overlap that shows that this is there's a lot of elements here that the city already has committed to, and it would be helpful to kind of tie those all together under this one umbrella.
Okay. Next slide talks about the resources needed, human resources. Do we need to show, a potential, not timeline, but next steps that we have to do to them, that we need to put together an RFP, select a consultant, and get them on board, have it on board by a certain time? Is that important? Or is that getting too much into the weeds?
I think that might be getting too much into the weeds. I think we want, in my opinion, I think that we want to explain to them what a sustainability plan is, and how we're going to go about it. But I'm not sure that we should commit to a timeline given staff issues right now.
Okay, but the money that we have budgeted, we have to spend it. Do we have to spend that in a certain time frame, or we lose it?
I'd have to talk to Misty about that. Ideally, we'd spend the $25,000 that's already been committed for 2022. Ideally, we would spend that in this year. I know there are circumstances where money budgeted for 1 year can carry over to the next. Hopefully, that wouldn't happen. But yeah, it would depend on the timing of when we get an RFP out there, get somebody on board and kind of figure out a contract situation with them.
Okay. So the project doesn't have to be completed before it gets paid, the budget, before all budget funds are used, right? So
that one
could extend into next year.
I can't speak with authority on that.
I just don't want to lose that opportunity for that.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that would be the hope, that if there is concern about that hopefully we will be able to figure something out where we can dedicate that first 25,000 this year, and then any additional that would need to be paid could be in a future year. But
okay.
Yeah.
So Diane, when we give this presentation to the Committee of the Whole, do we give the presentation, then there's questions afterwards, or do they interject in between the?
Well, regardless of what it doesn't make any difference what we suggest. Usually the questions come during, and I think that's probably a good thing anyway.
Okay.
I'll move us on to the next slide.
Next slide. So we do
So
have
there we have budget and timeline here.
timeline. Okay.
Can you make the font bigger under municipal and community, those bullets? Can you make those the same? They're a little bit difficult
Yeah,
to see,
Mhm.
please.
and we have space for it.
Oh, this next slide, the clean energy resolution and green to a legacy community commitments can go right
Oh, there we
after.
go.
Yeah.
Yep. Move that back.
And I'll there's at least one thing. It should be 100% by 2025. So I'll just need to look and make sure that the rest of it is
Correct. Okay.
accurate.
Okay. That's one I wonder if these two slides should come before talk about our commitments.
Possibly that's something we can work out. Sort of, if that flows better, we could do that.
Mhm.
I'm not sure the picture of the solar arrays. I'm not sure what that adds.
Yeah, I think that was from a previous presentation, and they just kind of carried over. I think it would probably make more sense for me to get a new graph in here that indicates the actual status.
And what about a picture of the new solar panels
Right.
that come online?
Well, isn't this stat? Oh, that's the clean energy goals. Never mind.
Right, so there's a lot of overlap there, but not one and the same.
Yeah.
So did you update these slides, the energy goal slides, Phil? I mean, I think I just
Yeah.
took this from a previous presentation.
Yeah, this slide on the right is my updates.
Okay, okay, good.
And then, yeah, there's just a little slide confusion. This one also needs to be moved up.
Yeah.
And we've got,
And I think, Diane, you mentioned this 22 activities might be a duplicate,
Yeah.
so it probably should come out.
One of them should come out.
Yeah,
Yeah. This one's got a little more information on it, so maybe this one should stay in.
yeah. Okay. And the next slides.
I like that slide. I think you did a nice job on that. That's a nice slide, Ron.
So you just summarize the benefits.
Mhm. Nicely done.
Right, you could take out that link down there. And are these the right questions to ask here?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay,
By the
Right.
time we get to this slide, they only have 3 minutes anyway.
yeah. All right, so Phil, are you gonna make those changes then?
yeah, I'll make the ones I can and
Okay, just
send the
them
rest to
back
you and
out.
Diane for the others.
Okay. All right, let's move on to item 5D, Fitchburg Star articles, Diane.
Well, Ron's article on invasives should be in the next, I don't think we've gotten the star yet for this month.
No,
And Kim signed up for June without a topic. So I don't know, Chris, if you want to bump her and do something on water conservation, if that's what you were suggesting, or if you're suggesting we ask her to write on water conservation.
Oh, I can talk to her about it and see if she wants to write it. If she doesn't want to write it, then I think we should. I think water conservation should be in June if we want to cover it.
I think that's a good idea.
yeah, I do too.
And if she doesn't want to write it, she can write something in July. I mean, my article
Yep.
can go anytime.
Right.
What do we have
So-
scheduled for July?
I think it's in the, where did I see that? I think it's at the bottom of the packet. I think it's my meat-free meal. Oh, we have Will on composting for July, so then we would just push Kim a little bit further down. She could do August.
Okay,
And I could do September. It doesn't make any difference. My topic is not time sensitive.
okay.
Okay,
I will email Kim right now and get that ironed out.
good. Thank you, Chris.
And Diane,
Ron, I did.
Diane, did Will get a copy of what the guidelines are for preparing the articles for?
Yep.
Okay. And we do have a new person that we send it to, so.
And you have that, Will.
Yeah, I do.
Thanks, Josh, for sending over Scott's email address. I couldn't find it. I knew Diane had mentioned somewhere, but I couldn't find the email anywhere with his name in it.
I had dug it out the month before. Diane got us all the info. It's just, it's in the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I just didn't have access to my computer, so I was like, what is his name? Yeah.
Wait, you don't take your computer with you on vacation?
Just not my desk computer, just my laptop.
Okay, if there's no other discussion on the Fitchburg Star articles, let's move on to Chris on the Aldo Leopold. Any update on that?
I think I just got a message tonight that we're going to be doing one more food waste audit before the end of the year. So I'll get that circulated out to Diane and they're welcome to join that. I did participate in a food waste audit there, I believe, and must have been in early April or maybe March. You know, it's just interesting to see how things are going in the schools. I think Kim gave an update the last time on how we had a meeting with the custodial staff and they were struggling with recycling cartons. Again, we haven't been able to get into schools and do a lot of oversight on it. But upon giving a little bit of feedback and then checking it out, when I was there for the food waste audit, they were actually doing a great job of having limited contamination in their carton recycling. So
Good.
it seems like the station's approach is working, and nobody in the country really has us down in terms of stations in schools for recycling cartons. And so we're kind of the guinea pig for the country. And so some of this feedback is being given to schools that are struggling with this in other parts of the country, mostly in more of the urban areas are still kind of in the classroom setting. A lot of other schools have gone back to more of the cafeteria setting.
Mm-hmm.
But we have gotten the commitment from the school district to move forward with recycling stations, whether it's the cafeteria or the hallways for the next school year. So I think that's encouraging that we're getting to that point where they're making bigger commitments to the recycling programs with cartons in the schools after we kind of rolled it out at Aldo Leopold several years ago. So I think good developments on that end for sure.
Chris, is there going to be like a guidance document that comes out of this that could be distributed to school districts? Or
possibly, there's a lot of things that can be different from school to school.
Yeah.
And so, but I think as we start to roll out to more of the general population of schools, kind of the approach and kind of rolling that out, we'll probably have some guidances that could be beneficial to other schools. And if that's the case, then we can find platforms or to share that. So,
okay. Yeah, I think this is a great program.
It's good for sure. I mean, I think that's where it needs to start. The next generation of people that care about the earth, and in some situations they just don't know. I got a photo from my son today showing that our recycling signage was still up at Cherokee Heights Middle School, and he said, "Dad, they're not doing any recycling here anymore." And I'm I'm like, well, at least you still got the signs posted. So, you know,
At least they didn't
That's
recycle
good.
that.
but then for some reason, he wasn't too excited about me coming into the school to help get it reinvigorated. But, you know, it just tells me that we need to reach back out to that school, which is where, you know, a lot of Fitchburg students go for middle school, and just, you know, help them get restarted. And sometimes it can be just, you know, having a simple meeting and getting the containers back out.
Yeah.
And like, doesn't need to be that hard. We just need to give a little bit of a push. And there's been so many other things going on in the schools that they've been worried about, that we really just haven't had the chance to get into a lot of these schools. Hopefully that changes next fall.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you.
That
As a quick aside, I saw an article recently that said, I think that everybody who's covered by Pelletary can now recycle like lined paper cups, but it was calling it out for a different community. And I don't know if Fitchburg was listed in that article or not. Phil, is there any way for us to confirm if Fitchburg now has that kind of eligibility in our recycling?
That might be something for
I would need to,
the new hire to,
yeah,
because they'll be in contact with Pelletary anyway.
Okay.
right. Yeah, I think we would just have to reach out to Pelletary. They may have updated in their website, but I think usually if you go to their website, they just link you to that, the cities that they work with, they link you to that municipality's recycling information. So if it hasn't been updated on a website yet, I don't know if Pelletary would have it updated.
They made it seem like they made a change to their sorting system and kind of added that as a category. So I think that might be something we might want to ask about and see if we should be updating our materials. So sorry, we can bring that once the new hire is integrated.
I did hear about Josh, and it's a good follow-up to check in on, and, you know, get information out to residents if that indeed includes us, which I think it should.
I think they made it seem like they list out all the communities. I think they mentioned Fitchburg, and the article was kind of assuming that everybody blanketed that benefit too. So I think we just need to confirm that and then change our guidance.
So there is a, if you go to the Pelletary website, quick share here. Here we go. If you go to the Pelletary website, residential services, there actually came here from the page on Fitchburg. So you can select individual communities and they'll link to the recycling calendar, to our recycling guide, but here with recycling info, they do have info in this expanded paper recycling for all their residential services. Paper cups are listed here.
So it doesn't matter if they're lined.
It doesn't say anything about that.
I just know that it seemed like it was an oddity because it was like the ones that come out of like coffee cups. And so,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess to me, that would have always been paper cups. So it is interesting that that was like, I guess, a change or news.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, maybe, you know, updating our documents, but then, you know, maybe doing a couple of social media posts on it, potentially for outreach.
Yeah, I'll see if I can check in with Pelletary on that.
Okay. If there's no other discussion, and item 6 on the agenda is council updates. Gabriella can't be present, so I guess we won't have anything there. She didn't send me anything to read either, so we can move on to the next agenda item, the staff and commissioners, and Bill's not here, so we can't have an update on solid waste or stormwater unless Bill has it.
Look
Yep,
at that,
I do.
Will, we've caught up.
Yeah.
I do.
I was
So
banking on that.
you can't be too effective at it, Will, or you're gonna have to do it every time.
Yeah.
So I've got Bill's updates here.
Okay.
So already announced the the new hires got, I'll go in chronological order this time. May 16th, our part-time environmental engineer, Ryan Stengen, will begin. May 24th is the full-time environmental engineer, Ben. May 31st, we have both an environmental intern, Elliot, and the engineering tech, Aaron, are going to begin. So 2.5, 2.5 FTEs and an intern all beginning this month. On the solid waste side, we're beginning outreach to the town of Madison residents for single family pickup. Only have about 12 single family homes in the town of Madison that's being incorporated into Fitchburg. The rest of the town is apartments or businesses. The environmental team will work to develop an outreach plan for the stakeholders.
How many, Bill, Phil, how many did you say?
12
Oh.
single family homes.
Really?
That's it.
Mhm.
That's surprising.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And then also new license plate camera was installed at the drop-off site. Staff will be trained on the new system next week.
So what is that supposed to do? I mean, is it
Um,
takes a picture of your license plate and that's it, or?
right, so it would, so there's a camera, just making sure that nobody's dropping off things they shouldn't. So
I mean,
the
it
license,
doesn't read the license plate and says, no, you can't go in because you're not a Fitchburg resident.
No.
Artificial intelligence, I mean, it said should.
Big
I
Brother
don't
is
think we're
really
quite that fancy
watching.
yet.
Ron's license plate just got put on the do not use list.
Yeah. The do not dump list. Sorry, Phil.
No, that's all right. That's it for solid waste. For stormwater, we ranked the TMDL RFP. We'll be negotiating a contract with AECom to perform the services. Seminole Glen RFP will be negotiating a contract with AE2S to perform the services. Dunn's Marsh RFP is still under review, but we'll be negotiating a contract with one of the submitters within the month. The Sod Farm Pond is under design, and we're coordinating with an adjacent development to determine if joint bidding is feasible. And the city will be receiving approximately $850,000 from the Congressional District Spending Plan for 5 items here: Sub-Zero Regional Pond Design, Goose Lake Pipe Upsizing Design, Lake Barney Pond Design, Schumann Parkway Storm Upsizing Design, and Curry Court Stormwater Improvements Design. That may decline due to a lack of neighborhood interest from pending assessments on improvements.
Really?
No.
2 more items in
50,000?
sorry, 850,000 for those 5.
Okay. Which is the biggest project, you know? Or just,
I don't know.
Lake Barney, I'm sure.
right, yeah, that's what I would think.
Design contracts must be let and approved by council before October 1st of this year, seeking more details from Senator Baldwin's office for the administration of funds. Last item, Cheryl Drive and McKee Farms swale design projects are nearly complete for bidding and permitting. Should be let in June, with construction occurring in August to October.
Phil, do you know, with all the rain that we had around like April 20th, did the city have any flooding issues?
Nothing I heard about, but that probably wouldn't come across my desk, so I'm not aware.
Okay, thanks.
The sustainability update is a bit smaller this month. I already talked about one, that Public Service Commission released a list of recipients for their energy innovation grants, and Fitchburg was not included. Looking for other ways to help fund LED conversion, including the grant that Andrew McFadden applied for this week. And we had our shred and recycling event last month, as you all know. Thank you so much for coming out to help. It went really smoothly. Heard a lot of great things about the event, and only a couple complaints from folks who had difficulty figuring out where to enter and exit. So I'll be thinking about how to make even bigger and better signs for the fall.
You know, I think you're always going to have that. I thought the signage was really good, and the turnout of volunteers was wonderful. I think you're always going to have some people that get confused.
Yeah.
Getting 3 alders to help, I was really excited about that. I think it was really nice to have them participate in this and to see what this event is like and to connect with residents that way. And Julio was just an all-star down at that main entrance by the library redirecting traffic. So that really helped smooth things along as well, having a little bit more traffic.
She said it was fun. It was
great.
nice. It was nice to see Scott Endel helping also.
Oh my
He did a
gosh,
nice-
Scott
he
was
did
in
a
his
nice
element.
job.
Scott was made for that role.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
So Phil, is there any stats or numbers you have?
Yes. Resource Solutions reported 15.5 tons of electronics were picked up for recycling. So that's pretty similar to what we have in the fall. 15.5 tons.
Wow.
That's
amazing.
That's a lot. That's right about what we had in the fall as well. So it's a lot, but
Good workout, Josh.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I am not making any plans after these events in future 6-month intervals, because the last 2 times I've taken a lot of ibuprofen.
That's where my physical therapy background can probably start helping us out.
Please.
Yeah.
You
work
could have the
on
shredding
that
event next time.
And then from Pelletary, Jeff said that we had 3 tons of paper. So in the fall, I believe we had somewhere between 6 and 8 tons of paper. So it was a little bit lighter this spring. I don't know if there's a way for us to anticipate this. He said if we thought we would have that amount again in the fall, only 3 tons, that he would probably bring 1 truck instead of 2. I don't know how we would know that for sure, but it seems like he thought that 2 trucks was it wasn't an efficient use of that resource.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
we'll
the
see
one we
about
had
that.
last fall, we hadn't had one for a while, so.
Right, yeah.
Accumulated.
If you
Yeah.
if you go back maybe a couple falls pre-pandemic, maybe we can get an idea
Mhm.
of turnout. But it would seem to me that people would have more in the spring, because they're cleaning out tax files or whatever
True.
files,
Yeah.
than they would in the fall. And maybe we only need 1 truck. There was seldom a line of people waiting. So I think
Right.
1 truck
Yeah.
can handle it.
I think also just more and more people are doing electronic banking, electronic taxes.
Yeah.
I know when I collect my sensitive documents that need to be shredded, it takes 2 years for me to fill up like a manila folder. I think a lot of people just don't have that much paper anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
I
yeah,
think
so we
people
had,
had a lot of time to clean out things during the pandemic too, so
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
contributed to having more. So I think 1 truck.
I think 1 truck will probably be
Efficient.
enough in the fall.
Do you
I
remember
was
So if we keep up at this frequency.
Do you remember the date for the fall one?
November, my brain says November 2nd. I'm not sure if that's November 6th, it looks like.
November 5th?
November 6th.
A Sunday?
Oh, the upcoming fall one. I thought you meant the one in 2021.
Oh,
This fall, it will be on October 15th.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought we talked about having it moved up to October.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I've got it. Thanks.
Yeah, so that is, I think that might be a Badgers home game, but it's against like Maryland, or it's not one of the top
Bite your tongue.
rivalries. Well, not one of their top rivalries.
So we don't keep track on the number of vehicles that come through, do we?
No.
We don't. We talked in the fall about implementing a clicker. And I think just because we have multiple entrances and the possibility of missing cars or double counting, it would be tough to get an accurate count. Now, I believe Resource Solutions does count the number of cars that come through there. We could have 1 person with the paper shredding count cars that go through, and just so we get a sense of maybe average tonnage per vehicle, that might be useful. It means adding another responsibility onto somebody that they've got to keep on top of, but that would be a possibility.
We used to hand out a little thing on idling reduction
Mhm.
in the paper shredding, and so we could tell how many cars came through by how many copies we gave out. But in
Right.
my opinion, that just adds more paper.
Yeah.
Right. Well, now that we've got the signs to put in the lawn, and we could even print one or two more if we thought we needed it, but we've got signs for idling reduction already. So I think if we just had, if somebody wanted to bring in a clicker who's going to do the paper shredding, I think that would cover our bases there. I'd actually have to check and see if Michelle,
Yeah, I mean,
I know for the fall, she gave me a count on how many vehicles came through. Yeah, so she said in fall of last year, we had 135 customers going through the electronics line. This spring, we had 162.
Whoa.
yeah,
So Michelle, because electronics has gotten so backed up and they've been so popular, she has definitely advocated for looking at either reorienting our setup at City Hall or trying to find another location that's not going to back up onto the road.
It didn't seem to back up this year. I thought that
I don't think it backed up as far.
No, I thought that everything was moving rather quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you that main difference was those 2 lanes. I think that was huge. We ran 2 lanes for the majority of the morning, and when we could do it, it allowed us to just plow through people. They shut it down briefly so they could repackage stuff, and then we opened them up again. And I don't feel like the lines ever got. So the idea that we got through 30 some more cars this spring than we did in fall, it didn't feel that way at all. So that to me says that was making a big difference.
Yeah, I thought we did really well.
So let's keep it at the same spot. People are getting familiar with that, and
yeah.
maybe they'll know where the entrance is and the exit is.
So just because I was trying to think of it, the fall total for paper was 5.3 tons.
Okay.
So we were still over half of that, but down from 5.3 to 3 tons. So it's a bit of a drop off still.
Do we know the capacity of one truck?
One of their trucks has a higher capacity than the other. They brought 2 different size trucks.
Looks like fall of 2019, we had about 2.5 tons. So what we had this last fall was on the high side. I think somewhere around 3 tons is probably actually more what we should expect to get for one of these.
By the way, maybe during our presentation to the committee of the whole, we can mention the amount that was brought that we received, and also thank the alders who helped.
Yeah, good idea.
I can add that in as well.
Yeah, I think it would be useful to throw out some of these numbers just for them so they know, get a general idea how popular it is.
Well, the fellow who helped, the alder who helped with shredding could easily help you, Josh, because he's, I think he must have been a former football player. I mean, he is a stocky guy.
He was a police officer.
It was Jim Wheeler.
Yeah.
Joe. I thought it was Joe.
Jim. Now I'm going to go double check, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Jim Wheeler.
Anyway, maybe we can redirect that muscle elsewhere.
Jim Wheeler, but yeah,
it would be appreciated.
Yep. Yeah, I can definitely do that. So we had Alders Wheeler and Gerhardt and Arata Frada, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's just the 3 of them, but yeah, that was really nice. And then we had Gabriella down doing recycling. Is that correct?
I think she was helping like screen cars.
Oh, right.
The line definitely progressed better. I don't know if they ultimately had 2 people charging on the phones. I think that might have been a big difference maker here too. I think they had 2 people with pay ability, and we knew that was a bottleneck last time. And so Gabriella
initially,
was screening people, getting them into 2 lines. There was just a lot better facilitation, I think, to get them to into the 2 lines and keep them rolling.
For the future, I don't think we need that many people helping with shredding, especially if they have 1 truck and the Cafeteria staff doesn't mind doing it. They helped right along. I think we had 3 people from Cafeteria and 3 of us, I think.
We definitely ended up with more people than we needed. I wanted to err on the side of not falling short, especially knowing that that we did have some line backups on the Lacey Road in the fall, and I wanted to make sure that we had enough to direct traffic. But
No,
I
I'm
think
just
we're
saying,
kind of narrowing in on exactly how many volunteers we need to really make it run smoothly and not have too many redundancies.
well, I think the problem with shredding is that we were told that Pelletieri staff wouldn't be helping. They would just run the trucks and
We
actually,
had like 3 people there, right?
yeah, and they helped quite a bit.
Yeah,
So,
and well, if they only bring one truck, they'll have fewer staff, so that'll make a difference as well. But
yeah,
then it's also only one cart to load. Yeah, we'll figure this out as we come into the fall. I will almost certainly, well, I'm not sure if I'll be on leave at that point, but Dakota will be back, and we'll have, I'll make sure that Dakota and I talk about what we want to keep the same and change for the fall.
you did a nice job organizing this on top of
Yeah.
everything else.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did. Yep.
So those are the sustainability updates.
Good, great. Thank you. Okay, well, we're way ahead of schedule here. And the last thing on item is just activities being conducted or monitored by commissioners. One thing I was thinking, I don't know if you guys know Susan Easterday, Parks Commission.
Mhm.
She asked me if we would be interested in reviewing a park plan that might be coming out. If there would be committee members that would be interested in reviewing it. And so then we got into other discussions, and she was interested in knowing some of the things that we're doing. And it's like, well, I never heard about that or what was going on. And I said, well, I didn't know there were some things going on about the parks plan and some things that might impact RCC. So we kind of thought it might be good to have once in a while to have someone from the Parks Commission or other potential applicable commissions, just to give like a 10-minute overview of what they do and what's going on within their realm each year. And just wanted to see what you guys thought about that.
I think it's a great idea.
Because sometimes we just don't know what the other folks are doing within the city of Fitchburg. So
I think it's a good idea too. I'm not sure. I would think that any project that Parks is doing that might affect RCC, Gabriella would be up on and direct that to us. But I don't think that it would hurt for us to find out more about what those commissions are doing.
okay.
Since we have time, if you're done with that, Ron, since we have
Yeah.
time, can we sort of give a recap of how the Waterway cleanups went?
Yeah. I mean, I can start mine. I did over by Dunn's Marsh. It was just Gabriella and then Rick Ellerson from AECom. The 3 of us, we just did around the Dunn's Marsh area. I was surprised that the lack of debris that was out there. I
Good.
think we really did a good job last year scouring the whole area. And other than someone having a big Modelo beer party over there, there wasn't much on the east side of that little pond by Dunn's Marsh there along that trail. We did a great job cleaning that up last year.
I think that also reflects the fact that Madison put in some kind of a filter on their stormwater, so we're not getting all the debris from the parking lot. Yeah, good.
Yeah, those 2 small ponds there, that's where most of the debris was at. And a lot of it was just small items. Chris?
Sure. So Swan Creek, again, we had a lot of volunteers. Some were family volunteers. We worked on the waterways that kind of lead to the ponds in Swan Creek. And then we worked on ditches kind of leading down to the Nine Springs Conservancy area. So the mayor and myself focused on a stretch of Cyene Road, kind of right along kind of where the main waterway runs through on Cyene Road. And we were able to do a side and a half of that in our allotted time. And then I was encouraged to see a nice group of volunteers out doing that same stretch a couple weeks later. So they kind of cleaned up the part that we weren't able to get, and also went over some of our areas again. So I feel like that stretch is really, really clean now. But overall things went well. There were some areas that we couldn't even get to. We didn't have quite as many volunteers as we had in prior years, but we did have, I think 23. And so we were able to cover a lot of ground, not only within the Swan Creek subdivision, but some of the corridors leading to Swan Creek. So I think overall a successful cleanup over here in Swan Creek.
How'd you get the mayor out there?
Well, I do a post in Swan Creek, and he's a member of that group.
Okay.
He lives closest to Swan Creek. So he's been out and helped out several times before.
Okay.
Really get a nice photo of him down along the waterway. So that was good.
Yeah.
Ron, in the past, when we know where we're doing cleanups and we know where the meeting place is, we've contacted neighborhood associations for that area, like the Duns Marsh. In your case, it would be the Duns Marsh Neighborhood Association, and we've gotten not a lot, but we get some volunteers that way. I know in my neighborhood, with some notice, I can get it posted on the neighborhood board, and we've probably gotten, we don't get the turnout that Swan Creek gets, but 5 or 6 from this area doing things, but we just didn't get that organized this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I had it posted on our Wildwood South subdivision site where I live in this area here in Fitchburg off of Lacey, and no one showed up, even though people said, thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
I got a lot of likes on the Facebook posting, but no one there. But I didn't know about the Duns Marsh Association. I definitely need to reach out to them. I don't know, do they have a Facebook site?
I don't know. In the past, I know the city has a contact for their neighborhood, and it used to be, I can't think of her first name or last name is Mullins. I don't know if she's still there or not, and that's who we usually contacted.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, kind of how like I said, we started in Swan Creek with, there was one year where it was just me early on when we started it, but, as we started to, have the event and gain a few more people coming to it. And then, our pull of trash was pretty big. So always kind of celebrating, what we were able to pick up and showing the photos of that. That gets a lot of likes on Facebook each year. So I think that's kind of how the brand got built and how we've built up our volunteers over time is being consistent about celebrating what we did pull out. And, there's always a lot of people that thank it. Thank you for taking the time to clean up, and all the volunteers get thanked. And so, I think that's how we've been able to maintain, having consistently a group over 20 people helping out in Swan Creek the last 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
We also usually have a little blurb in the Star on the city's page, promoting the cleanup and where the meets are, or at least directing people to the website. We just didn't, unfortunately, we just didn't get that quite connected this year.
Yeah.
And I know that in last year, we did have people coming in that weren't even part of the Swan Creek subdivision. That was more so, they came from another subdivision, and they said, I asked how they found out, and they said, oh, through the city, website postings and whatnot. And so they came to Swan Creek to help clean up, even though they didn't live there. And so that's what I think Diane's talking about. People have opportunities to pick where they want to go and clean up.
Yeah. I think having more city employees, will help out that are being hired. So.
Well, maybe we need to start planning this in February and just get on top of this a little bit more. My husband and I cleaned up around the ponds that drain into McKee Park, 2 stormwater ponds along McKee Road. And we had just around one pond, we had two big garbage bags just of recyclables. I don't know that area's ever been cleaned up. I was kind of surprised at the amount of trash and recyclables that and some of them maybe windblown, some of them just discarded, lots of plastic bottles, couple of plastic bags. I mean, it was in the area that we were originally going to, if had I been here, we would have done along Yarmouth Greenway. That area is in dire need of cleaning up. It always is. There's a lot of litter around there. So maybe next year we can hit that extra hard.
Yeah. Well, good. I really appreciate everyone's time in those cleanup. It's really helpful. And next year, I know I'll be a little more diligent in getting more people, at least in the Dunsmarsh area, involved.
Well, at least the weather cooperated, right? It was a nice day for you all.
It was.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
So anything else?
Not for me.
Okay. All right, if there's no other things to bring before the commission, I guess go ahead and adjourn the meeting at what, 8:35 or 8:36?
And Ron, you'll get back to us on whether the committee of the whole is the 22nd or the 29th.
Yes, I'll send another email to Randy, but I saw what Chad sent us an email or a chat notice that he said it's the 22nd. So I will follow up on that.
Yeah, and if you're not available, then we need to reschedule.
Yeah, I'll look at my calendar, see if I can reschedule that trip. So
It better not be a cruise.
no, no, it's something with my son. So.